have a couple of questions that we'd like to ask you. By the way, my name is Sheyi Aberifa, and I have my wife here. And of course, we're originally from Nigeria, but we live in South Africa, and then we moved here 2022, and it's almost 2 years now. How time flies! All right, so I'm going to shoot the first question and pass to. I will start with Donna West, and then you answer. Then we Francis and Adrienne. You answer the same question. Then we go to the next question. By the way, just as a reminder, we have a QR code here. For you can scan it and you can pop in your questions. Let's see how time allows us. If you have some time, we will take your question live here. If you don't have time, we will take it in the main the session, the third session that Jason will be facilitating. But let's see how far we can go. So here's the first question that we got for you. Now, last year you were here, Donna West, and also Adrienne. You share with us what the Lord is doing, with the ministry. And so I think that what people want to hear today about the update of what the Lord is doing through you in the past 12 months. What are some of the, big changes, big news? I know, Francis, you shared one with us yesterday night, and so we'd like to hear more. So let me start with Donna West.
All right. Okay, so last year really was, I call it a year of ups and downs. We went through some challenges, but God has been blessing us amazingly as well. So it started off in January 2023 last year that we had actually lost the facility that we had been renting to do programming in. And so that kind of left a little bit of a challenge trying to find some place there where we can do programming. And so we were able to reach out to a few places, and we're blessed by St. Mary's Anglican Church. Their hall has been allowing us to use that on our Saturdays. And our youth group, we had to split the places on where we do programming between the two groups. The youth group is meeting at the Circle Project. So able to at least find places for the programming to continue on and to go. And yes, we as I said, we were blessed, and we thank God for these locations. But at the same time, we do need a permanent location. That is one of the things. And even the kids, every time you move locations, you're upsetting the kids. They come from a very transient lifestyle as it is. And when we move locations, you upset them, and it just gets everybody back into having to kind of almost start over. So a little bit about what City Kids is all about, for those that really don't know, is we are Saturday programming for ages 5 to 12. And this includes door-to-door transportation. So every child gets picked up right at their home with a bus that we do charter with. And we also provide nutritional meals for the kids. There are 4 values that we want to teach the children and pray that they take away as they graduate from the programming. And that is that they would know that God has a plan and a purpose for their life, that City Kids loves them, that it's great to be a child and have fun and always do what's right. So programming on Saturday is a combination of games, songs, skits, lessons, and stories that are putting these 4 values into all of those lessons that we do. So, and then another aspect of our program is every child and youth that is registered with City Kids, we get what we call a connect visit. So once a week, we are going out to their doorstep, and we are connecting with them. We're just building those relationships a little bit stronger, but it also gives us an opportunity to connect up with the guardians and just be there for them and a support, pray for them, find out if there's any needs that they really do need, and to be there. And then this year, March of 2024, which was based on a questionnaire that we had asked our youth just before Christmas on some of the things about City Kids, and one of the things we had asked them is, what do you want to see in youth? What's going to draw you here? And the main answer from all of the youth that are attending, it's a very small group right now as we're kind of rebuilding our youth group, was they all wanted a drama. So we were actually, that was God just working in there. I posted it on Facebook that I was looking for a drama leader to come out and help us out. And within 10 days, we had a drama leader come. And we are now using drama to work with the children and just be an encouragement with them. And I just, for myself, it's just been really exciting to watch some of these kids come out of their shell and to just really open up with that. So that's, and we're also going to be using that. They're going to be practicing throughout the year, and we're going to be using that for them to do some plays at a dessert theater night in the fall. So yeah, I definitely will be providing more information on that for everybody, and yeah, looking forward to just watching how these youth can take their talents that God has given them and use them.
So I'll just give you a little bit of background of Father's Heart for those that aren't as familiar. So it's a ministry. It's considered an indigenous NGO in Uganda because it started by a Ugandan in Uganda. So that was Francis. And what we do is our motto is to raise the esteem and capability among people with disabilities through the church. So how we do that is once a month we go out for 1 week. And we go to a different area of Uganda. And we bring mobility, though that's mostly wheelchairs, but some crutches and walkers. And then we do training for the local leaders. So we partner with one church in that district, but then they invite the other pastors and leaders from their area. So we do a 2-day training to those pastors and leaders on issues of disability. What does God say about healing? Why is there suffering in the world? We talk about God's sovereignty. We talk about design, that God has a plan and purpose for everyone, including people with disabilities. So after that training and our team is assembling the wheelchairs, then we give out those wheelchairs for the next 2 days. And each recipient hears the gospel one-on-one in their own local language from those pastors that are there with us serving. And then we come back. So that's the 1 week that we do. And you might wonder, well, what do you do on your other weeks? We're not twiddling our thumbs, I can assure you. We're either tidying up and entering the data that we've just gotten from the previous week. I shouldn't say either. We are doing both. We do that, and then we're looking forward to where we're going next and planning the next one. So it's a lot of logistics and admin work in between. And then we also, he's an elder in our local church, Gabo Community Church, for those of you, you know Pastor Peter, you saw him yesterday on the screen. And then we mentor youth, and I homeschool our kids. And he's also on the National Council of People with Disabilities in the whole country, so he's on a board, so we do a few other things as well. Keeps us busy.
So what has the Lord done in the last 12 months? I give a little bit of highlight on that. We have served over, now for 2023, it was 2,059 people we get mobility. Now when I add this year to date, that adds another 807 people. So a little over 2,800 people. And since the beginning, the overall total now is coming to 22,000, adding the 800 this year. And of those, last year, 700 people gave their lives to the Lord. We're at about 300 this year, so that's 1,000 people that have given their lives to the Lord. As we give wheelchairs, as Adrienne said, we also share the gospel. Because we wouldn't be giving wheelchairs if it wasn't for Jesus. We don't know these people. You know, we wouldn't have known them. Neither would we have known their suffering. But because of Jesus, we do. And we give the wheelchairs, and he provides for them. We get to be the tools that he uses to do that. We've trained 2023 was 250 pastors that we had trained. I think we're at a little over 150 this year to date. So that's what the Lord has done. Big changes. I shared a little yesterday. The Lord provided 2 acres of land for the price of 1, really. I didn't share that yesterday. This lady had the 2 acres. She had put them on sale. They'd been on the market for a few years. She had showed the land to so many people, including investors, who had more money than we did. And when she met with me for the first time, she didn't tell me, but I told her everything that we do. And then later on, at the end of our meeting, excuse me, she says, I've seen you before. Like, I don't know you from anywhere. She's like, I've seen you on TV doing an interview about what you do. I just wanted to confirm that, you're going to tell me about what you do that I heard. So when my story that I told her that day lined up with what she had seen on TV, and she told the brokers, she didn't tell me, but she told the brokers, that pastor is buying the land. But I didn't have the money that she was asking for. But a long story short, she made the decision. She brought the price down to what we could raise because we didn't have all the money. At the end of 2022, we had paid up all the amount that she needed, and we had the land. And then, great miracle, the Lord put it on the heart of one of our, I wouldn't even say friends, one of our acquaintances. We just met him once, and we don't even remember exactly because he was in a service where we spoke, and they quickly greeted us and went out. He says, but he wrote a check for $100,000 and he says, can you start building? So we're starting. We still need about $360,000, but we know that the Lord was provided so far. He doesn't start and stop in the middle. He always accomplishes what he starts. So we're trusting that he will. So we're going to have a facility with a house where we would stay, a warehouse for all the wheelchairs. We have different types for those children who can sit, for those children who cannot sit, small and medium and all the different sizes. Then we would have an office which has a few therapy rooms for the children to do physiotherapy, and it will also have a therapy pool to help the children do their exercises. When you tell a kid, can you flex your hand back and forth? It's just a routine movement that gets boring after a few times. But when you put them in the water, you don't have to tell them. They'll be splashing and doing all sorts of things. So you don't even need to tell them what to do. So we'll have a pool for them to do that, and a little guest house and a playground. Now in Uganda, when you talk about playgrounds, it's just a patch of grass. So what we call playing is you get in the patch of grass and run around. So that's a playground, you're playing. But it's different here. So here you have swings, you have slides. We don't have those things in most of our countries in Africa. So when we are here, we get to see what a playground is called. So we want a real playground on site for children to experience what a playground is. We'll still have a patch of grass if they want to do the African playing, but it would be cool to have a real playground. So I think that's about it.
Yeah, another thing, last year I think I had told you that God had answered our prayers for someone to provide for, we had 400 kids waiting for a special wheelchair on our wait list. I think I had told you that. And someone had just provided or said that they were going to buy those. Well, they've arrived. And so we just started giving them out.
Wonderful, that's beautiful stories. What God has done for you in the ministry last year. You will do much more. So the second question, I will start from Francis this time. What is a standout moment for you in your ministry from the past 12 months? What stood out for you?
Well, great of all, the Lord's provision. I just wanted to open up to you and say the hardest part of our ministry is the government logistics and the fundraising. Doing the ministry on the ground is the easy part because you get the rhythm and keep going. But what you need to give has to be provided for. And so the time that we spent traveling around and raising the money is the hard part. But when the Lord provides, that's a great standout moment. When we've been measuring those special children for I think since 2018, Every month we go out, we don't have those special wheelchairs. You know, for the children who are floppy, you sit them and they fall this way or to the front. You need a 4-point harness. You need to tilt the wheelchair a little bit. They call them tilt-in space. Those wheelchairs are expensive. Regular wheelchair would cost $100 on average. That other tilt-in space wheelchair goes, the lowest or the cheapest you would buy is $275 a piece. So then you have others, it's the intermediates we talk about. But then it ranges from there to thousands of dollars. But we range between 275 to 380 because we want to fit as many as possible. So we look for companies that can provide those wheelchairs for that amount. So to have 400 kids who are going to require about an average of $320 each to fit is a challenge. We were getting to a point where we're thinking, are we ever going to fit these children? You measure about 20 to 25 every month and you add them to the wait list, So the great news was for us to have someone say, how much do you need for those special chairs? I think that was in July last year, and our calculation brought it to $80,000 for one container, $80,000. And they said, I think we will write a check for that. So that is a great standout moment. It's not every day you get $80,000. And to see the parents, you know, when you carry a child who is able to control their bodies, it's easier. And then you get a parent who has to gather the child because they're floppy and carry them around. You know, some are 12 and, you know, 10, 12. It's hard for them. You can't put the kid on the back. In Africa, we put kids on the back or to the front, but this one you have to find a way of gathering them to take them around. And the mothers don't do anything, just take care of the children. But for those who don't care, they leave them in the house because they're too much work and it's too much to carry them around. So to see the children coming out and being put in a decent place to sit and move out is a great standout moment. So thank you.
Well, there's, you know, lots of stand-up moments. Almost every week we see something about a child or they say something to us and it's like, oh, you were listening. But yes, for me, I think this past year, one of the things that have really, you know, as I said, we do our Connect visits and you go there every week and you're not only connecting with the children, but you're connecting with the guardians and the parents. And they get to know you, you get to know them. It comes to a place of trust where they will start asking you stuff and sharing with you. So for myself, I think it was just very recently, one of our families that I, you know, been connecting with, and sometimes I think I do have a better connection with the great grandma who was raising the children than the children at times. But you realize how much they do soak in when you are there with them and how much they realize. So just recently, this family went through a very difficult situation. The kid's mom had passed away. And the grandma had actually, you know, she called me and she shared with me and talked with me and she had invited me to the wake and invited me to bring some food to the wake. And to me, that was just a very humble experience for me to have that relationship with the family, that they felt enough to invite me to this, you know, very family intimate celebration. But at the same time, the 11-year-old daughter, the wake was on the same day of her birthday. And it was, you know, a bit challenging. And when I got there, she just came running to me and she just put her arms around me and she's just sobbing. And, you know, I was that person where she could just lay her head down on and just let it out. And so it was a few days after the wake, I had taken the young girl out for her birthday and, you know, got her nails all done for her and made her feel very special. took her out for supper, and just that one-on-one, she just started opening up, started off by asking her a few questions, but she just started off by looking at me, and she just said, "Don't judge me." And I said, "I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to love you. I'm here to be here for you and support you." And she just started sharing stuff with me that, of course, she probably would have never shared in programming or anywhere else. And to just be there for her, and for the family to know that they can trust me enough for stuff like that. And yeah, it's moments like that when you realize what God is doing in their lives, and to just kind of be there. And even for myself at that time, it's been a challenging year for me as well, personally and other things. And I was just, there's times I get it and I ask God, why am I doing this? Am I really where you called me to be? And it's these moments that God says, that's why I've got you where I want you. And yeah, it comes, one child at a time, and kind of one of our mottos, and that's what it is, to always be there. So yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to continue to mentor this young girl and just be there as she's grieving the loss of her mom.
Now, thanks so much, Donna, for sharing that story, because that's actually led us to the third question that we have for you. By the way, Francis shared last time, and we were around last night. That was a powerful message on, home. Thank you, Francis, for sharing that. And we just want to ask you guys to, stories are powerful, right? And it helps us, especially on the side, to connect more with what you're doing. So when you think about our team making room, Donna already set us on that course, and we can share some anecdotes, some stories of individuals that through your ministries that you've made room for. We just want to hear those individual stories. You can just share, because I know you're going to have a lot. You can just share a couple with us of stories of people that through your ministry that you've been able to make room for, what the impact that has been. If you can just walk us through those stories. I'm going to start with Francis again.
For sure.
No, let's start with Francis,
Okay.
and then I will come back to you.
Okay, I'll do some, and Adrienne will do some as well. There's several stories. Of course, we said 21,000 or 22,000 coming up this year. So I'll just back up to one in 2010, I think it was. We go to this village or district, and we took 100 chairs. And those years we didn't have enough chairs that we carried, and of course we rented a truck to get to places. These days we have our own truck, which was also another miracle. We got there and we had about 120 people show up. And so, being the leader of the team, I get to be the one to make those hard decisions. So we had about 2 chairs left. And so of course they came to me and said, okay, Francis, we have 2 chairs and we have these, I think it was about 12, 20 people. About 5 were not going to qualify for a chair anyway, but there was enough for enough people for the 2 chairs to make it a hard decision. Yeah, so Adrienne wanted me to clarify that those who don't qualify for a wheelchair are usually those ones who can use crutches, or they are able to limp and get around. The ones who qualify are the ones who are dragging themselves on the floor, in the mud, or in the dirt. So anyway, so I began to interview, so it gets personal. What do you do? Where do you live? And that helps you to kind of get to the detail. And this one guy that ended up taking one of the 2 wheelchairs had dropped out of school because the wheelchair he had was not working anymore. He tried for a year to do his last, that would have been
had a team from Idaho on this one, so I wasn't doing as much with the actual recipients myself. I was more overseeing everybody else, helping them and answering their questions, so I was kind of like fluttering around all day. And I really liked talking to actual people and doing it myself too, so this one was I think it was near the end, and I was near the door, and I saw him, he kind of hopped like a frog, that's just kind of how he crawled. And he crawled from the outside tent into the church, and when I saw him sitting at the station, I just thought, let me just go join them, because I'm finished when my floating now. So I went and sat down. And then there are 52 different languages in Uganda, but we happen to be in a district that speaks the Luganda, which is in the central region. So I was able to chat a little bit with the mom as they were fitting the boy in the chair and stuff, and so I could ask some follow-up questions to what was going on, and that was kind of cool. So I was asking her, just when you seat like 200 people in 2 days, you don't really get a lot of time. You do connect, but you don't have a lot of time. But anyway, it was just neat because I could take more time with this one lady, this mom. And the boy's name is Kato, which means he's a twin. So I was asking about the other twin. The other twin didn't make it. And she seemed to be a really caring mom and was looking after him, this boy. But he's too big for her to carry around. And she usually just leaves him at home because she needs to go to the garden she's a farmer, like a subsistence farmer. So she has to work, because otherwise they wouldn't have anything to eat. So he's otherwise just left alone. And just to hear her story and her heart, that this was going to really relieve her burden, I'd be able to include him more in their lives instead of being always left alone. So that was really meaningful. And then he was a stubborn boy. Well, at least they call him stubborn in Uganda. But I mean, I don't know he was very full of a lot of personality, very opinionated. He could communicate a little bit, and that was kind of fun, because often you just kind of put someone in their chair and they're just like thankful and then they go. But he really wanted to he was trying to tell us where he wanted his feet and trying to communicate, and he had a lot of contractures, so his feet couldn't go in the typical position. So we had to switch his chair out, and we were talking to the mechanics on the side, like, let's get the chair ready and then convince him to go on the other chair, because this boy is not going to get out of that chair if we tell him you can't be in it. So we got it all ready, and then we said, we have a better chair for you, and then he kind of looked, and finally he believed us and got in that one. So that was fun. And then just the joy, I wish I could have showed you the photo, but we got him to wheel, and I was telling him, okay, come, and he was wheeling towards me, and then a small crowd gathered around him, and everyone just started cheering. And it was just so neat.
We want to complete the construction of the ministry center, which it will be a home. We need the Lord to provide for the remaining and get it done. If you ask Adrienne when we wanted it done, she usually says last Christmas. So we want it done. But also pray that the Lord will keep providing for these individuals, especially for those special kids that need those special chairs. We'll keep getting them because once these 400 are done, we have new ones every month that come. So pray that the Lord will provide. That's the biggest need.
Thank you very much for sharing with us.